Anyways, moving on to our last segment, and while yes, this is our last segment, it's certainly not least. It's time to talk about DC Fandome 2021.
which we learned a lot about
There's
for sure.
so much for DC Fandome, and I'm excited for all of it. Okay, all of it is a stretch, but I'm excited for a good portion of it.
Yeah, because
Uh,
I mean, mind you, there was a lot of talks about like animated series and some comic series, but of course the big ones that are pulling from are some DCEU content and some shows coming out.
yeah. Um, I think to start, let's talk about Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Yeah,
What do you think about the fact that this movie is going to still not feature Black Adam as the main villain?
honestly, that's fine by me. Honestly, let him have his movie first.
Yeah. I also really like that Shazam's rogues gallery is getting more of a shine in these movies compared to it always being Black Adam, because let's be honest, Black Adam is the guy. Black Adam is the Joker to Shazam's Batman, the Lex Luthor to Superman, the Cheetah to the Wonder Woman. You get the whole thing.
Yeah. Overall, I mean, because of the fact of how like different and good it is compared to other DC films, Shazam has really put a mark on the DCEU for the better.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see the rest of the Shazam family, because I think this is one of really the major major DC properties that is really going to show all of the Shazam family, not just like Billy and Mary, but also just everyone.
Yeah. Overall, my excitement for this movie mostly stems from the fact that the first Shazam was at least good.
Yeah, and Zachary Levi is a great actor.
Yeah,
He played that role perfectly.
honestly. Though I am worried about all the child actors aging pretty fast. That is something they're going to have to take care of really quickly.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, nothing a little old multiverse magic can't fix. But before we talk about the multiverse, let's talk about Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
That one is the one that I'm probably least excited for and have
Same.
less opinions of out of all of them.
Yeah.
Mostly because we get more like info from the other ones and more like re revelations of the plot.
Yeah.
This one was because what really stands out to me more is like the behind the scenes, if anything.
Yeah.
Like
For
the only thing that really sticks with me because that was honestly the least memorable of all of the DCEU
yeah.
products that were being shown off. I just remember Jason Momoa having a good time backstage.
Yeah.
That's all I remember, honestly.
Yeah. I personally didn't really like the original Aquaman. I found it to be pretty boring, personally.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this one will change my mind, because I do think Jason, Jason Momoa is a good actor. But the other thing I'm also disappointed in, but I also know that was always bound to happen, is that Amber Heard will be returning as Mira.
Oh boy.
Unfortunately.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Eh, I mean,
Let's not jump on that debate.
yeah, but overall, I'm hoping this movie surprises me.
Yeah. I will say that I at least found the first Aquaman decent.
Hmm.
It wasn't like on as good as Shazam, but it was a good time.
Yeah. Next one that we should talk about then is Black Adam.
I have a lot more to say about that for
Oh,
sure.
same. For one,
I mean, even the small little 2 minute segment had a lot to discuss there.
yeah, the way he pretty much just electrocuted that man was amazing.
and and honestly, the people like trying to promote the movie, like, oh yeah, Dwayne the Rock Johnson was perfect for this role, and I know that's all like promotional fluff, and they're trying to sell us on the idea as him as Black Adam, but I think they're right.
No, I think so too. Like, I remember when it was first announced back in, like, what, 2018 was when we first heard about The Rock playing as Black Adam. And I remember just hearing about it, I was like, oh my God, The Rock. But the more that I think about it, the more I think it works. One, because WWE stars are actors.
Yeah,
Acting is the name of their game. So it would make sense that they'd be able to act well in other things. Kind
yeah.
of like how theater actors transition to movies or TV show actors transition to movies. I think The Rock could play this very well. And it will be really interesting, especially because he's facing the Justice Society of America.
Hmm.
I believe they showed off Dr. Fate, the
Yes, Doctor
Atom.
Fate will be in the movie. Yeah.
It's Dr. Fate, the Atom, two other characters I can't remember, but they're all Justice Society of American members, which makes me think that this takes place on what would be considered Earth 1, as that's where the Justice Society is from. So I'm
Which
really interested.
which makes me curious about this movie because based on the knowledge I have from like Injustice and the comics, you can't really sell this as like a redeemable villain like with the Joker movie. So I'm wondering how they're going to take this movie.
Well, I mean, Black Adam isn't all evil all the time. He's kind of like he's kind of like Namor in a lot of ways in the sense that he's very protective over Kahndaq, which is his country that he rules.
Right.
He's very protective over Kahndaq, and he's willing to do a lot to protect it. I mean, I believe, what was it? There's a comic book storyline where Kahndaq got destroyed, and Black Adam single-handedly fought the Justice League, the Justice Society of America, and the Teen Titans 1 on 30 and won.
Wow.
He is ridiculous. So I honestly think they may make it so that it ends with like an uneasy like relationship with the JSA where it's like you don't mess with me, I don't mess with you. You leave Kahndaq alone and I will leave you alone.
Okay.
I think it will end with that because I think Black Adam really works well as like a threat that exists in the background, like Doctor Doom or Namor, in the sense that
Yeah.
if you see Kahndaq, you know Black Adam is gonna be there, and you know shit's gonna go down.
Yeah. And that you were it was pretty good. Pretty good a coincidence that you actually mentioned Doctor Doom because that's actually what was going on in my mind as you were describing that.
Yeah, he's definitely like a Doctor Doom-esque figure, and I'm really excited because Black Adam is one of my personal favorite villains. One of the first DC animated movies I ever saw was Superman and Shazam versus Black Adam,
Yeah.
and he was great in that movie. And overall, I just like him. He's good in Injustice. He was good in the World War III storyline, where once again he went ape shit and just took on the JSA, the Justice League, and the Teen Titans. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to this movie, and also just because I also like the JSA.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely had a lot more to say on that one compared to Aquaman because, like I said before, my excitement for that movie is very minimal.
Yeah. In terms of rankings of excitement between the three we've discussed so far, I would say it's Black Adam, then Shazam, Fury of the Gods, then Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom.
Yeah. The next two that we're talking about are probably more hold more excitement for us just because they show so much.
Yeah.
But which one do you want to touch on next?
Definitely the Flash.
Yeah. So this one caught me by surprise, mostly because the big reveal in the trailer,
Yeah.
I it put me on pause for a moment because I didn't realize it at first. Like I thought it was, but then I wrote it off. Like there's no way they're doing that. Like for context, they show in the Flash they show a Batman, and when I say a Batman, I don't mean the Batman of the DCEU. I mean Michael Keaton's Batman.
The one from the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, which
The
I'm like, there's no way that's real. There's no way I'm buying that. And then I see the IMDb notification, The Flash 2022, starring Michael Keaton, and I'm like, oh god, it's happening.
it's happening.
Because the they don't really show him, but they show like the backside of him. Because like
Yeah.
nowadays, whenever you see Batman, the ears on the cowl aren't really well defined. But
Yeah.
those pointy ears definitely give off
Yeah.
an 80s esque vibe.
Yeah. I I'm shocked, especially because since the Flash 2022 is taken from the Flashpoint paradox, you would think that we would get a Thomas Wayne because that's the Batman that is prominent within the the Flashpoint storyline, which is that Barry Allen goes back in time to save his mother, fucks up the timeline, and in that timeline, Bruce Wayne is shot by Joe Chill, and so Thomas Wayne becomes Batman, and Martha Wayne becomes the Joker. But they're going a completely different direction, and we're getting just Michael Keaton Batman to be the one that will be the big Batman of the story.
Which is fine, but that does lead me to be really cynical about the Flash, in all honesty, for several reasons.
Yeah,
Because
talk about it.
Because for one, they are going to start jumping on multiverse stuff. In comparison to Marvel jumping on multiverse stuff with things like No Way Home, with Loki, with Multiverse of Madness, with What If, and mind you, Marvel has had 10 plus years to figure this stuff out, with over 20 different projects already out, and meanwhile DC has... When did Man of Steel come out? 2013? And they haven't had more than 10 projects come out yet.
Yeah.
So I'm very hesitant because it feels like they're rushing into multiverse stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm not even really sold on the DCEU, really.
Yeah.
Like, I've been talking about a lot of excitement because there are some elements that I see in stuff like Flash and or stuff like The Flash and Black Adam that I saw in, like, Wonder Woman and I saw in Shazam. It's just, I don't know. I'm in like a love-hate relationship when it comes to the DCEU because we get our Shazams, we get our Wonder Womans, and
then you get Suicide Squad.
We get Suicide Squad.
We
get the original Justice League.
Yeah.
We get Wonder Woman 84. And so, mind you, I'm now like right now I'm on the peak of my high because just seeing the Suicide Squad was amazing.
Yeah, it was such a good movie. Even though the original Suicide Squad is a guilty pleasure movie for me, it is undeniable that the Suicide Squad is the better film and just overall a better movie.
I cannot agree on how you describe Suicide Squad. That movie is unwatchable.
It's a guilty pleasure for me. I mean, it's just so funny, especially when you just see Deadshot walk up to Helen Chandler. He's like, "Lady, you are evil!" It's like, yes, she is. All of you are.
And also, Harley Quinn is going to take down the Enchantress with a bat.
I mean, Captain Boomerang was with a boomerang.
Oh, that helps your argument out.
I'm just saying.
That definitely helps your argument out. Yeah, we got a bat and a boomerang. Let's take down someone who's literally terraforming the city.
You say that, but then you act like Clint walking around with a bow and arrow against the Chitauri was not the most badass thing in the original Avengers.
Okay, there's a difference between someone who can literally shoot a bow and arrow without looking and the guy with a boomerang.
It's a boomerang that can slit your throat.
So can a bow and arrow.
But it's a boomerang.
You're not selling...
And he's Australian.
That makes it better?
His name is Digger!
You're not selling me on this. In fact, you're making me even more glad that he died in the Suicide Squad. Spoilers, by the way.
Listen. You gotta take what you can get. If your thing are boomerangs and your thing is a bat, I mean... You're just not gonna use it when you fight against God? Come on, you gotta bring your A game.
You are defending the worst movie in the DCEU, and I am not willing to continue this conversation.
Listen, I'm just saying, it's a funny movie because it's so ridiculous.
Okay. Anyway, back to The Flash. So overall, I'm very cynical about the fact that they're jumping already into multiverse stuff. Especially because Marvel has had plenty of time to set this up, and meanwhile they're just jumping on it now with the Flashpoint. Mm-hmm. Which, mind you, why are you making the Flashpoint your first Flash story?
Yeah.
And also, maybe semi-popular, unpopular opinion, I don't like Ezra Miller's Flash.
Really?
I really don't. But that's mostly because I'm biased after seeing Justice League, and they try to make him like a Spider-Man-esque character.
Yeah. So, in my opinion, I think they should have done the multiverse sooner.
Really?
I think the multiverse should have been done far sooner in the DCEU. And here's my reason why. DC's multiverse, in my opinion, is way more intertwined with some of its bigger story arcs than Marvel's. Like, when you think of the DC multiverse, you think The Flash of Two Earths. You think Crisis on Infinite Earths. You think Final Crisis. Big multiverse events. Meanwhile, with Marvel, a lot of their big events are Civil War, Infinity War. I mean, yes, you have Secret Wars, but that's really the biggest multiversal event. Meanwhile, you have like I said, Civil War, Infinity War. You have what's the storyline that Secret Invasion? You have Secret Invasion. You have Dark Reign. Like those are big story. Days of Future Past, kind of multiverse, not really. But anyways, those are big Marvel storylines that don't necessarily need the multiverse. But DC's big storylines, the things that people remember, usually involved multiverse. I mean, even the Dark Side War that happened in New 52 involved the multiverse. It involved the crime syndicate of Earth 3 working with the Prime Earth superheroes to fight against Grail and Darkseid and the whole lunacy that the Anti-Monitor was in that story. But my point is that I think the multiverse should have been done sooner. I mean, I think they should have done movies, one in Earth 1, one in Earth 2, with Earth 1 being, for simplicity's sake, the main one we follow, and Earth 2 being the one with the JSA. So say you get a Superman movie, a Batman movie, a Wonder Woman movie, then you get a Green Lantern movie with Alan Scott, you get a Flash movie with Jay Garrick, you get a Dr. Fate movie with, I believe it's Kent Nelson, and then you just move on. And then the big storyline that comes together could be when they finally team up together.
See, I see your point there. Like you're saying, like overall in the scope of their universes, like DC's multiverse events have more impact than Marvel's.
Mhm.
But the issue I have is that one, they don't have enough time yet. Which I mean, you're arguing against that point for me. But the big one for me is that they haven't even sold me on half the characters.
Yeah.
Like in my opinion, I think higher of Hawkeye than I do of the Flash, and
Yeah.
that's the problem.
I mean, to be fair though, Hawkeye has had a character arc across like 5 movies now.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Ezra Miller's Flash has been in
I mean,
one and a remake.
yeah, it's just over time. I need to trust that these characters can stand on their own first before they dive into high concept material.
Yeah. I can see that.
Because honestly, the best movie has side characters and villains
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah, I
Like
mean, let's be honest here. Prior to the Suicide Squad, did you know about Bloodsport? Did you know about Peacemaker, Blackguard, Weasel, Polka Dot Man? I mean, the biggest name characters in that movie was Starro, the Thinker, and Harley.
yeah,
And Rick Flag.
yeah,
And Waller. But yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Outside of that, everyone else is pretty much a nobody if you don't know deep DC Comics lore. I mean, you don't really see Bloodsport show up in a lot of mainline comics anymore. Same thing with Peacemaker.
Yeah,
But I'm glad they were used, and that's mainly because James Gunn is the type of person to take obscure comic book characters and make them mainstream. But
I
yeah,
just
you're right. I mean, the best characters are side characters and villains.
yeah, just I don't. This is the one project I'm the most cynical about. There's a lot to get us excited about, but I just have such a love hate relationship with the DCEU, and this movie is the culmination of that.
Yeah. I do think Flashpoint is being done early, but at the same time, I feel like now you might as well do the multiverse because they can pull the same novelty that Marvel can with the multiverse, but better. Marvel has a lot of bad movies, but DC has had a lot of good movies outside of the DCEU. I mean, you have the Christopher
Reeves.
Reeves. Yes, I was about to say Christopher Walken. You have the Christopher Reeves Superman. You have the Alan West, may he rest in peace. You have the Michael Keaton Superman. You have the
Batman.
Christian. Did I say Superman? The Michael Keaton Batman. You have the Christian Bale Batman. You can have
Get the Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Joaquin Phoenix Joker. What's the other live action movie? I'm forgetting. It's a Wonder Woman one. It's
Oh, that
old
was a
though.
show. That was a show.
Oh, it was a show. But even then, you could pull from the shows too. Like, I mean, Ezra Miller has already appeared in the Flash universe, the CW Flash universe. There's a lot of novelty that DC can really work with crossing over their multiverse that I think they can outperform Marvel with. Especially because DC has a lot more household characters. Everyone knows the Justice League prior to, the DCEU compared to, did you really know the Avengers roster prior to the MCU? Like, yeah, people knew about Hulk. Maybe some knew about Captain America, but Thor, Iron Man, Ant-Man, Hawkeye? No.
Yeah.
But everyone else, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, Green Lantern. I mean, think about it. With the multiverse, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern can come back.
Oh God.
And yes, I know you say, oh God, but do you know how hype that would be? When it comes out in a multiverse film where you see the return of Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, you know the theater will erupt.
What? How is that possible? The actor was shot.
Shut up. You know the theater would erupt with applause seeing him return. Was his movie bad? Yes. But will he be remembered with nostalgia goggles if he makes an appearance in a DCEU movie after decades? Absolutely. I mean, remember, Spider-Man 3 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2 were not the most well-received movies. Yet everyone is chomping at the bit to see Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire in No Way Home. I believe the same effect can happen with DC, and I think they really should lean into that. Not immediately with the bringing back all the characters, but they can start slow with someone like Michael Keaton.
Yeah. Well, so just to summarize all my thoughts right now, I do think they can perform well. I just don't trust them to.
That's fair. I mean, so some people are theorizing about the plot, which is that the Ezra Miller that we see front and center is not Barry Allen, but is instead Eobard Thawne playing the Reverse Flash. Because in the comics, before going back in time, Eobard Thawne is obsessed with superheroes. So much so that he got surgical reconstruction on his face to look like Barry Allen. So, some people are theorizing that the plot is that the Barry Allen that we see front and center with the new suit, that's actually the Reverse Flash. And the real Barry Allen is the one with the repurposed Batman suit that we see at the end.
That's a lot to throw at me.
And then also we still gotta deal with Supergirl that's also in this movie.
Really?
She's the girl that's with them in the Batcave. That's Supergirl.
Oh, I guess I must have missed that behind Michael Keaton.
Yeah. But I think it'd be really interesting because there is a lot of potential for this to work.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's the story is gonna be about Barry's upset, his dad's still in prison for the murder of his mom that we all know his dad didn't commit. And so he wants to go back in time and save things, but obviously going back in time causes problems. So, but I think it'd be really interesting to see that.
Yeah. Well, I guess that leaves.
Before we get to the big one, I think we should go over the rest because we're gonna have a lot to say about the big one.
Okay.
Peacemaker. Let's talk about Peacemaker next.
Okay. Yeah. Overall, I mean, I guess we should start with our opinions of how he was in the Suicide Squad.
John Cena in the Suicide Squad really sold me on the idea that, yeah, WWE actors are actors and they will do pretty well in other mediums. Because he was so good as Peacemaker.
I mean, this is the textbook example of a D&D lawful evil character.
Yes. And I just love the fact he was just like, I'm supposed to be in prison. Why? Superhero stuff. You're not a superhero. What's your name? Peacemaker. And it's like that moment in Guardians of the Galaxy where it's like, who?
Honestly, the one line out of his entire performance that I remember is the line like, "I will keep peace, and it doesn't matter how many women and children I have to kill to get it." That is his best
Love
line.
it.
That is his best line.
Yes.
But overall, I do think he can carry a show, and I am
Yes.
looking forward to that.
My question is are the people that are his handlers the same people that were with Waller during the Suicide Squad?
Probably.
It looked like they were. At least some of them were. Like I know that the fat white guy and the blonde white girl look similar, but I know that the new black girl that's his partner definitely wasn't in the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Which I'm just lazy. I didn't look up to see the names of these characters, but it looks pretty good. And we're also gonna see what his dad is like. My favorite scene in the trailer was him getting hugged by the bald eagle, and he's like, "Dad, take a picture." Dad, and his dad's just like walked away from him.
Yeah.
But overall, this Peacemaker show is going to be interesting. I'm interested in seeing who the villain is going to be.
That is true, considering that we are dealing with a villain now, with Peacemaker.
Villain.
Villain, yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if we're going to see Bloodsport show up again, considering, kind of shot him in the throat and everything.
Huh.
I doubt Bloodsport would play a major part, but like a cameo.
He'll probably just be in his mind.
Yeah.
And that's probably the extent that we'll get.
Yeah. Side note about Bloodsport, I really wish we saw the scene of Bloodsport putting Superman in the ICU. I know they couldn't afford Henry Cavill for the Suicide Squad, but it would have been amazing just to see like Superman flying around. You can just see Bloodsport just snipe him out of the sky with a kryptonite bullet. You just see Superman just like drop.
I mean, they've got no excuse. They didn't hire Henry Cavill for the Superman cameo in Shazam.
But this one, you would see more of his face, considering you would see Superman get shot and literally drop.
You don't have to do a front shot. You can do a back shot.
But how?
You can do a back shot with someone who has similar hair.
That's fair. But I imagine he shot him in the chest, though, is the thing.
Yeah.
Eh,
it's doable.
Yeah.
People behind the camera are creative.
Yeah. But I would have loved to see it just because, just hearing that line, he put Superman in the ICU for a week, I'm like, excuse me?
Which also leads me to believe that they don't have the planning in DCEU compared to Marvel.
I mean, not really. I mean, compared to Marvel, like, DC does have incidents of just superheroes fighting villains, and villains just one-upping them sometimes. I mean, yeah, and it's not unreasonable. I mean, Lord knows how many times Metallo has shown up with kryptonite to fuck up Superman. So an assassin using a kryptonite bullet isn't that weird. And at the end of the day, he still went to prison, so it's not like Superman lost.
Yeah.
Either way, I think Peacemaker's going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Harley Quinn next?
Oh yeah. So, have you watched Harley Quinn at all?
I have not, so this is going to be new for me.
Oh yeah, the show overall was really innovative.
I just know Kite Man. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah, Kite Man. How the DCEU was managing to make characters stand out despite being like the absolute D tier of villains is amazing. Like Kite Man and Harley Quinn, Polka Dot Man and the Suicide Squad.
Oh my god.
But overall, yeah, it was really good. Like the humor was good. I mean, it's not for kids. It's a pretty mature show. The humor was on top. Like they make several suggestive jokes, but the most innovative part is like normalizing Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy as a potential couple.
Yeah.
That's the big thing that the show does.
Yeah. I mean, in the comics right now, I believe Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy being together, I think is about to become a longer lasting relationship than Harley Quinn and Joker in the comics.
Yeah. Because the big thing that like Harley Quinn does is try to get into is it the League of Villains or is that My Hero?
League of Villains is My Hero.
Yeah. Then what is it?
The League of Doom?
Maybe?
Which
Because it's got Lex Luthor as the head.
I mean, yeah, the League of Doom. It's
That might be the League of Doom.
is it called the League of Doom? It's something of Doom because it has Lex Luthor, Black Manta, Sinestro, those people.
Yeah, because she like for the first season she tries really hard to get in there, and it is distraught because of the relationship with Joker,
Oh yeah,
and that was like her way of one upping. And Poison Ivy is there to support her mentally, and then over time they do fall in love by the end of season two.
that's good.
Honestly, it helps normalize a
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. There it is. That's the one. But yeah, it helps normalize a lesbian relationship, and that is well known in the comics, but now in an animated movie, it stands out. Now, mind you, for season three, they didn't really show any animated segments.
Catman.
They showed Kite Man, but they showed what's it called? They showed sketch segments where they didn't really fully animate it, but overall, it will show like the development of Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy's character a bit more, or
Hmm.
their relationship a bit more. And overall, I just remember really loving the show.
Okay.
Yeah, especially because it's probably the most mature that DC has gone.
Is it available on HBO Max or
Yeah,
is DC Universe still a thing or did that thing end?
I'm pretty sure that died like 3 years
Yeah, I remember I only got DC Universe to watch Young Justice Outsiders and then gone.
ago. A nice segue, Shiny.
Well, okay, yeah. Well, our next topic about DC fandoms is Young Justice Phantoms. And
You can take the lead on this one because this is the animated show that you're more familiar with than me.
okay, listen, people. Young Justice is the greatest DC animated show there is, and it's better than the original Teen Titans. And I will fight anyone that says otherwise because they're wrong. Young Justice is the best.
He has and will fight people on this.
Yes. Listen. Young Justice is amazing. For those of you who don't know what Young Justice is, think Teen Titans, but instead of being isolated, it is part of a wider world with superheroes and the characters develop and age. And they really tackle serious subject matter on top of the villains being very dynamic. Like the overarching villains is the Light. The Light is basically the Legion of Doom, but better. It's run by Vandal Savage, but you have people like Lex Luthor, you have Granny Goodness, you have the Brain, Ra's al Ghul, Clarion the Witch Boy, like Ocean Master. They're like season one Light, and they're like the bad guys. Like they are masterminding everything, and their enforcer is Sportsmaster, which for a lot of people you're like, who the fuck is Sportsmaster? Sportsmaster is the best assassin you'll ever see in a hockey mask. His whole thing is that he kills you with sports equipment. Have you ever seen a man get his head chopped off with a discus? Have you ever seen a man come at you with a pole vault javelin? That's Sportsmaster! And he's amazing. And he's also the dad of Artemis, who is one of the main members of the team. Either way, anyways, back to Young Justice Phantoms, which is season 4. It is amazing so far. Right now, the current arc is on Mars, and it's dealing with the marriage of Superboy, Connor Kent, and Miss Martian, and how they're being married on Mars, and they're dealing with basically a race war. There is an impending race war between the white Martians and the green Martians, with the red Martians being on top. And the white Martians are being led by Miss Martian's brother, Malafa'ak, who is basically what black separatists are to the civil rights movements of old and current, in the sense that he thinks that the green and red Martians need to die. That like there's no living with them. You can't live with them. There are oppressors, and so they must die. Like his whole thing is he wants to set off like a gene bomb that wants to kill off anyone that's not a white Martian, including his own family, because he's actually mixed race. his mother is a green Martian, his father's a white Martian, and he's like, fuck all of them. Fuck the greens, fuck the reds, fuck the mixed. All of you are dying. White Martians reign supreme. And I know I'm not doing it a service because you really need to watch this to really see the nuances of this, but it is probably one of the best takes I've seen on racism and a potential race war being handled by an animated medium. It is really good.
In
Like,
in summary, thank you for helping me not be the only one to endure his Sportsmaster rant.
Sportsmaster is amazing. And that listen, Young Justice will take underrated characters that you didn't know or care about and make them like badass. Like Sportsmaster is an F-less super villain, but they literally buffed him to be the enforcer of the light. Like that man was the big top dog assassin until he was replaced by Deathstroke next season. But let's be honest here, you're being replaced by Deathstroke. It's not that bad. Like, yeah, but it's so good. The heroes are amazing, and there are deaths that do last. Wally West dies in season 2, and he is yet to return, and I don't think he ever will, despite what everyone thinks. I think his death is going to be permanent. But Young Justice season 4, it's so good. Young Justice as a whole is great, and I'm really looking forward to this season. I really like what they're doing with the credits, where the credits are actually just another scene in and of itself, with the credits after episode 1 being about Violet talking about her crisis of faith with Islam, because she herself is not Muslim, but Gabrielle, the woman whose body she possesses, was Muslim. So she feels a kind of an affinity to Islam. Like she wears the hijab because she feels it would be disrespectful to take it off. But she herself does not have any personal affinity with the religion of Islam. So she's dealing with that. She's dealing with all of that and all the complicated feelings that come with that, on top of her breakup with Brion, aka Geoforce, aka King of Markovia. And then the second episode, its credits dealt with Terra, who, if you know anything from Teen Titans, Terra, the girl that spies on the Teen Titans, works for Deathstroke. Young Justice, not actually. Terra is Geoforce's sister, and she's dealing with the trauma of the fact that she's in exile. She's exiled from Markovia, and her brother is now basically running as a tyrannical dictator, and she can't reconcile with the fact that, like, she's separated from both of her older brothers, because her other older brother was previously the king before he was ousted, and now he's on the run, and Tara really just is alone. She doesn't know how to proceed with life. She's living in Happy Harbor in America, but it's not her home. And while she does enjoy being an outsider, she definitely misses her family. And I really do like that they're showing that, yeah, trauma from the last season does carry over. I mean, they have shown that throughout the season before, but they're really hammering it home this time that, like, these events fuck people up. You can't be a superhero and come out okay. You are traumatized, you are hurt, and that is fine, but it has lasting effects. And they do this for all characters. I mean, Superman deals with the fact that he's traumatized over the fact that he was cloned without his permission, and it's reflected in how he treats Superboy, because he doesn't know how to treat him, because he doesn't know how to deal with the fact that he's been cloned, or how Batman has to deal with the fact that, yeah, him spying all the time isn't a good thing, and it does alienate people, and he does get reprimanded from it by members of the League. And overall, like, I cannot just recommend enough Young Justice. Young Justice Phantoms right now is looking to be great. I'm excited for episode 3 that comes out tomorrow. And just watch it, people. It's free on HBO Max right now. Just please watch it. You're doing yourself a disservice by not watching it. It is probably one of the best animated shows DC has created, and Cartoon Network should be ashamed of themselves for canceling it all those years ago due to toy sales. It was a masterpiece and you know it, and now you're kicking yourselves because you don't have it. Mind you, you do have Teen Titans Go, and that is making you millions. But you could have had more!
Anyway, we should definitely move along because we are definitely way over time, and we still have two more aspects of DC fandom to discuss.
Yes.
So, I do want to discuss the fact that they're changing Superman's logo
Not slogan.
or slogan. Slogan.
Yes.
I'm sorry, not logo, slogan. But they're changing it from what was it before? It was
Truth,
Truth, Justice,
justice,
and
and
the
the
American
American
Way,
way,
and they're changing it now to Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow.
which I think is appropriate. For one, Superman in the comics has frequently gone against the American government. I mean, remember, Lex Luthor was elected president in the DC universe. So, Superman and the American government ain't on the up and up all the times.
And overall, like Superman is no longer recognized just in America anymore. Back when he was developed in the 40s, like he's now pretty much
30s.
30s or 40s. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's practically a universal character. Like everyone in the world knows the Superman logo.
Yeah. And I mean, even within the comics, Superman was always really a global hero. Like, he was always saving the world. So, it never really made sense for him to be Truth, Justice, in the American Way when, since I would say at least the 50s, Superman has been more of a global hero saving the entire world and being a good representative for humanity as a whole.
Yeah, and he's not even just saving people on Earth. He does stuff off world all the time.
Yeah, I mean, this man goes to toe to toe with titans from the galaxy like Darkseid and Mongol and Hank Henshaw back when with Hank Henshaw, Cyborg Superman, and at one point he did join the Sinestro Corps, so there is that. But he deals with monsters from all across the universe, and he protects everyone all the same. So I think the slogan "Truth, Justice, and a Better Tomorrow" is just fitting for him.
And it does, and they actually managed to change it to something good, which I'm very happy about.
Yeah, and it just works with who Superman is as a character. He's always looking to create a better tomorrow. Like, he's never been like we've said, he's never been just relegated as an America first or an American only superhero. That he is a superhero to all people on Earth and really all people in the universe. Like, he is such a linchpin within not just DC's universe but multiverse. Like, literally there is a metaverse surrounding Superman. His existence warps the fabric of reality of DC. He is not just America. He is as much of a mascot for DC as Batman is. While Batman may be the mascot in name, being Detective Comics, Superman is the mascot for DC in universe and out of universe, and it makes much more sense to make him representative of that with his slogan.
Yeah, and overall, I am so happy that people got their fill of the bisexual Superman controversy. That they didn't even tackle this. Like, I haven't even seen any backlash from this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful because I feel like this would have been maybe a bigger culture war issue to go after.
You think so?
Oh, yeah, if it wasn't bisexual Superman, the idea, conservatives running with the idea that they're taking the America out of Superman, oh,
Oh,
they could run with that.
oh, thank God they were distracted with bisexual
Yeah,
Superman.
I'm
Then,
really glad they weren't because most, and it's the thing, most comic book fans are fine with this change. It's a change that most comic book fans weren't necessarily clamoring for, but it's not like they were going to oppose because they always felt that it's more thematic that Superman is representative of the whole and not just America.
yeah, I mean, in fact, when they reference the Truth, Justice, and America Way line in the original cut of Justice League, he didn't even mention that last part. He just referenced truth and justice.
Yeah. And I mean, even Superman, when he was first created, Superman was created to be a global hero. I mean, Superman was made by Jewish authors who were facing a lot of anti Semitism as he was created he was created less than a decade before the outbreak of World War II. And so anti Semitism within Europe was on the rise as Nazi Germany was starting to grow in power. And anti Semitism in the United States was also pretty high too. And Superman was meant to be representative of a savior and protector and also enforcer of equality of all. Even from his very beginnings, he's always meant to be representative of being helpful to everyone in the world. And I think this is just better representative of that original vision for him.
Yeah. So The last thing we got to tackle is the Batman.
Oh, yes. The Batman 2022. This movie looks amazing.
But they cast the Twilight guy.
Shut up, he's amazing. Shut up. Robert Pattinson is amazing, and Twilight was wasted on him.
But jokes aside, I do think Robert Pattinson will do good.
Yes.
Overall, honestly, my favorite performance of his was in The Lighthouse in 2019.
Oh, same. He was so good in that.
Yeah. And the fact that he acknowledges that Twilight has ruined his career is beyond funny.
He was also really good in Tenet with John Washington.
I haven't had a chance to watch Tenet yet.
Tenet is a great movie, and he's a phenomenal. Fantastic. He's a fantastic co-star to John Washington.
Honestly, I'm very happy that he's worked his way around his past with Twilight and is now because I remember him the most from Twilight.
Yeah, everyone does. I mean, he was Edward Cullen.
Yeah,
and he was in that relationship with Kristen Stewart. Was it Kristen or Kristen?
One of the two.
Yeah, he was in that relationship with her, which was pretty high profile back at the time too. But I'm so glad he's really beginning to shed that because he is a great actor with a lot of range.
Yeah, and the fact that all things considered, I think Lighthouse is a perfect movie.
It really is.
And the fact that he is attached to that name just makes me very hopeful for the Batman.
Yeah, I mean, already looking at the trailers, he is very good, not just with his the acting of his character, but also his movements with his actions. Like when he's pounding away at that thug in the subway, he is with the motions. Like you can see him putting the proper effort that it goes to show when you're beating someone down. Like I think he's a perfect fit for a young Batman because this is only Batman in his second year of being Batman. So I think Robert Pattinson is great.
Yeah. Speaking of movement, that reminds me of when they actually had to change the suit in The Dark Knight because it was difficult to act in, so they just wrote it into the story that he wanted more movement. And so they literally made the costume change a part of the script, and that was pretty funny to think about.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've evolved so much, because I think what's his name? The suit in the way that it's portrayed in both Justice League and
oh, you mean Ben Affleck's Batman?
Yeah, his Batman, the way that he moves in both Batman v Superman and Justice League, it's pretty fluid compared to how it was in Batman Begins.
Yeah.
And especially in the 80s and 90s, because they couldn't even turn their necks.
Yeah. But I'm really looking forward to this movie. The trailer was amazing. The theme music was amazing. And this plot is looking to be a mashup of some of Batman's greatest hits.
I am looking forward to seeing a darker version of the Riddler.
Yes, I mean we're getting this is taking aspects from The Long Halloween, Year One, Batman, The Dark Knight, Dark Victory, even aspects of maybe The Killing Joke is going to be in there. Like this is setting up to be so good. I'm really excited to see the Riddler take on more of a Jigsaw-esque role in terms of how he's going to be killing off the higher-ups of Gotham City, which is going to be really good. What are your predictions for the plot?
I would have to really think about that because Catwoman was in the movie, right?
Yeah, she's going to be in this movie as well.
Yeah. Doesn't she take like a Robin Hood-esque approach to her character?
So from what it's looking like, she most likely will be the not unofficial, it's not the correct term, but the bastard daughter of Carmine Falcone, who's the head of the mafia within Gotham City. So she's basically going to be she takes what she wants because she's used to having to do that growing up in a criminal empire. So she's more she's going to be taking what she wants, but she comes across Batman and becomes infatuated with him and he with her.
Yeah, because really, this is going to be an inexperienced Batman, which compared to Ben Affleck's Batman is old and
He's
just
already lost to Robin.
yeah, and he's just way out of it fighting a gods amongst other gods.
Yeah.
So he's out of his league there. Meanwhile, in this one, we'll get to see his not really origins like we saw in Batman Begins, but like him starting to develop as a Batman.
Yeah, and this is also going to be a new, like, a fairly new Catwoman as well, because
Yeah,
she's also going to be pretty, like, new, because this will be her really getting out from under the wing of Carmine Falcone. And I'm really interested because even characters like the Penguin, he's not the Penguin yet. He's still just Oswald Cobblepot, owner of the Iceberg Lounge. So there's that. I'm really excited to see the Riddler. I do like how they did change his name from Edward Nigma to Edward Menashton because
Enigma.
Enigma is a little too on the nose.
Yeah, I know they did play that up in the earlier Batman movies, but that is a welcome change.
Yes, so I'm really excited. From what it looks like, it's looking like basically it's kind of a mix of the premise of Joker in the sense where Gotham is a corrupt hotbed, with the higher ups being very corrupt, and the Riddler is basically being the voice for the downtrodden and taking down the elites. Because we see he kills the mayor. We see the DA strapped with a bomb at the mayor's funeral. When Batman has the whole chalk outline of all of his clues, we do see that the current police chief, not the current police commissioner, which is not Jim Gordon yet. Jim Gordon's only a lieutenant at this point. His name is there, meaning he may have already been killed. And so I think the plot is going to go like this, where Batman is going to uncover that his family was involved in some way with helping perpetrate the crime that is going on in Gotham, and that he himself is an unwitting pawn of it all. Because I really think that the biggest storyline they're going to pull from is Court of the Owls. Which, for those of you who don't know, Court of the Owls is a storyline where it's basically revealed that there's this cult that has been running Gotham in the shadows for decades, and they have this enforcer named Talon, who has been enforcing their will and ensuring Gotham goes a certain way. I think the twist of this story is that Batman is the Talon for the Court of the Owls. He's just an unwitting Talon. All of the crimes and criminals he's been going after are downtrodden thugs, but he's not really hitting at the heart. He's not getting at Carmine Falcone, who's the head of the mafia. He's not getting like Oswald Cobblepot, who is slowly building his name in the underworld. Like he's not tackling the corrupt politicians and police commissioner. And I think this is where he's really going to go, where he's Batman, the vigilante, where he is going to fix his vengeance on the bigger issue of crime in Gotham and not just your individual criminals.
Right.
I think that's where they're going to go with it
But
because I can only see that this Batman is a Batman that will develop as he moves forward. And I think this is a good jumping off point for him.
yeah, do you think they'll make more movies with Robert Pattinson's Batman?
I think so. They've really been marketing Robert Pattinson Batman as the new Batman, the one taking the reins from Ben Affleck.
Which would be interesting.
I think they're really showing him as the one taking the reins, and I think it works perfectly because we do need a young Batman, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I
that is
think
fair.
a lot of Batmans we've been getting have been,
Like in their mid or late 30s, like late 30s, early 40s. I mean, even Ben Affleck is probably in his late 50s at this point.
yeah, I think we need a young Batman because everyone knows Batman the Dark Knight, like allied to good, enemy of you type thing. But I don't think people have really gotten to see a Batman that is becoming the Dark Knight. Like a Batman that's like learning the ropes, starting his relationship with Jim Gordon and how they both will rise up to become who they are. And also Batman's villains rising up. Because Carmine Falcone is a good jumping off point because he's kind of a relic of Gotham of old.
Yeah.
And like because this old guard is probably going to get taken out by the Riddler, the new guard of villains, the more destructive ones like Penguin, Two-Face, Joker, Scarecrow, Hugo Strange, Mr. Freeze, Hush. I can go on. All of them, they're Poison Ivy, they're all going to rise up. And it's really going to show the true depths of what went wrong. And this will make Batman's crusade even more personal, as he's not just avenging his parents from the crime that killed them, but living up to the ideals they instilled in him about what Gotham should be, where they failed.
Right. This movie has the very difficult task of differentiating itself from the Dark Knight trilogy, because that one is like the epitome of superhero movies at this point.
Yeah,
well, before Infinity War.
Yeah, I think it's going to surpass it because they really distinguish this one. Like this Batman, his Batcave is in the subways. He doesn't have his own Batcave with a waterfall and everything that's all hidden away under Wayne Manor. No, he has dirt on him, he has mud. His Batmobile is a souped up muscle car, not some technological tank. Like he's like this Batman is really gonna strike out on his own, in my opinion. You're gonna see him grow with his villains.
Right.
Like we're gonna see his villains become the infamous ones that we know and love from the comics.
Yeah.
Like I think this will succeed.
Because I bring that up because a lot of characters that we see in this movie have shown up all throughout the Dark Knight trilogy. But I have a feeling that this movie will be good, despite my hesitancy with the DCE that I brought up during the Flash conversation. I do think I'm a little more optimistic for this one.
Yeah, I mean, this one
just because
this one gives me more Joker vibes, and we all know how great Joker was.
Yes,
Joker is probably the best comic book movie.
Yeah, which leads me to think about what they're doing, because that one takes place in a completely separate universe. That one takes place in their, I think they called it their DC Dark Universe or something like that.
Yeah. And I mean, who knows if we'll ever see Joaquin Phoenix as Joker again.
Honestly, I'll be happy if we only have the one movie.
Yeah. But I really, really like this. Or, well, maybe. Maybe. This is DC Dark.
That could be interesting.
Maybe this is already DC Dark.
Which would mean that we've got two universes aligning with each other. Which I guess would lead into Flashpoint creating a mess of the multiverse in DC.
So. Because there's nothing that outright states that this isn't DC. Well, Andy Serkis is playing a different Alfred, but then again, Terrence Howard, Don Cheadle's a thing. So, and also the guy that played Flash and Batman v Superman and Ezra Miller. So, maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if Joaquin Phoenix shows up in like Batman 3. I really hope that if they do go the Joker route, they don't put him in an immediate sequel. They put him in either the third or fourth movie. Because Batman has a very rich rogues gallery of characters that could really be done without having to drop into like Joker or even Bane. Like I think we could do Scarecrow. I think we could do Two-Face in his own movie. I think we could do we could go straight up Court of the Owls and the next villain is Talon. Maybe we'll do Hush. We can do so many different ways. We can see what it's like for Batman to raise a Robin.
Yeah, that would be pretty interesting.
Yeah, we could see his first encounters with Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon.
Which we need a more modern interpretation because we really don't have
a Batman and Robin.
Yeah, out like in the 21st century.
Yeah, we really don't, and I think it's definitely needed.
Because the only hint of that we got was at the end of The Dark Knight Rises, when it was just subtly hinted at, but never really fully
But that's not even...
It was never fully actualized.
Yeah, but that's not even Dick Grayson. That's just an original character.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I think if there's a Batman 2, it should end with Dick Grayson becoming Robin. In the sense, not that Dick Grayson is in the movie all the time and he becomes Robin in the end. Like, I mean, like, the end of the movie is him adopting Dick Grayson, and Batman 3 is Batman and Robin.
Or not even Dick Grayson, maybe even Jason Todd.
I
Especially
feel
with
like we need to do Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson needs to be done justice on the silver screen.
especially with was it implied that Jason Todd was the one killed in the DCEU?
Most likely because he's the only one that gets killed.
Yeah.
And he's the only one that is killed by the Joker.
Yeah. So that's why I'm leaning towards Jason Todd.
No, I think we need to do Dick Grayson because Dick Grayson has not been done justice on the silver screen in the 21st century.
That is fair.
He is the first Robin. He's the OG. We need to put him in there. We need to see a good Dick Grayson before we go to Jason Todd. And then Barbara Gordon. And then Tim Drake. And then we'll go Damian Wayne. Eventually. But overall, I think the Batman will probably be the best superhero movie of 2022. I think it will be better than all 4 Marvel movies that come out.
Which, they got a lot of competition.
Yeah.
Especially
Because, like, its main competition is going to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah.
That's the big 2022 film. I think the Batman is going to be better than all 4 movies and any TV show, including shows like The Boys and Invincible.
Wow.
I think the Batman will be the #1 comic book live action property that comes out next year.
Well, you heard it here first. Let's see if that comes true.
Yeah. I have high hopes for this movie, but I know Robert Pattinson is going to give us a great show.
All right.
But yeah, here we are. We're running up on the 2-hour, 30-minute mark.
These shows just get longer and longer every week. This is my limit.
Yeah.
You're not pushing past 2.5 hours.
Oh, definitely. Definitely not. I mean, this was a big week, though. We got a lot of news. Like, I mean, initially, it was really just going to be DC Fandome and the strikes. But then the Dragon Ball chapter came out this week. And then Pokemon just hit us out of nowhere with their Legends Arceus snuff film. Then we have
the Marvel delays.
The Marvel delays that happened. Then we had Nintendo Switch Online being an absolute clusterfuck. And Sora, but we kind of knew Sora was going to be released this week anyway. Like, Dragon Ball Super and Sora, we kind of knew were going to happen this week, but then there's just a whole bunch of other stuff came up, and I'm glad we hit all of them.
Yeah.
Like, this was, in my opinion, a great episode, and I think we gave DC Fandome a good segment. I think we talked about it for like an hour.
Yeah, pretty much. And there was definitely a lot more that we didn't touch. There was the CW shows that they talked about. They also talked about things like Gotham Knights, which we didn't address.
Yeah, or Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we didn't address, but we did talk about like the big ones that were worth talking about.
And also, we're not really well versed in the rest of the things. I think the only thing we're well versed in that we didn't cover is the Injustice animated movie.
Yeah, which I've heard opinions on that were less than positive.
And that's mainly because Injustice, you see it once, you see it twice, you see it a million times, and you start to really, after like the 3rd time, you really start to really just be like, this really doesn't make sense. Like, Superman dipping into fascism so quickly.
Yeah.
Or the fact that, not just Superman dipping into fascism so quickly, the fact that Wonder Woman is already a fascist. Before the events of the movie, she is inexplicably a fascist.
Oh boy, I really don't want to dive into that conversation, especially because, let's be fair here, Injustice does carve a lot of current opinions of the DC universe.
Yeah, unfortunately so, because Superman isn't one bad day away from becoming a tyrannical dictator. Superman is literally the greatest among us. And I also kind of just don't like Batwink so much. Like, Batman is just, I know he's the mascot, I know he's like secondary mascot, but like, come on, people. He's not Jesus. He doesn't need to be the one that's always the good guy and in the right. Like, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the comics do dive into like, are his actions questionable? But at the same
Like,
time, he's fighting a
he's
fascist.
literally fighting, like, literally Hitler, but with superpowers. It's kind of hard to be worse than that.
Yeah, like they're showing him like being a dick to his team and like not looking out for his family. But is that really worse than Superman? Is that worth me turning against him as someone reading the comics?
Yeah, I mean, remember, Superman kills a 10-year-old boy. Or Billy Batson's 15 because it's 5 years. But yeah, he kills a 15-year-old. Like, I don't think Batman has ever come close to being that bad.
Yeah. All in all, uh, if you're going to take anything away from this injustice rant, don't read the what is it, year 3 or 4, where the Greek gods come and invade the
I think
inv-
it's year 3 Greek gods, year 4 Trigon, and the fifth dimensional imps.
yeah. Please don't read year 3. It is literally garbage.
Yeah, I mean, Injustice comics can be summed up as, why didn't X characters show up in the video games? Superman killed them.
Pretty much.
I'm pretty much any character that you can think of, Superman killed him. Where's Martian Manhunter? Superman killed him. Where's Hawkman? Superman killed him. Where's the Green Lantern Corps? Superman killed all of them.
Yeah.
And then Injustice 2 retconned it.
All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up our episode.
Yep.
Uh,
This was a great episode. I had a lot of fun.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Of course, you can always catch us live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific.
And yeah, I'm Shiny.
I'm Sovereign.
And thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week with another episode of Worldwide Wednesday podcast.
Good night, everybody.